This video introduces the drawing approach called contour drawing and explores its origins as an early form of visual replication. The information included is meant to establish a context within which we can understand contour drawing and how we might use it in our drawings to explore the world around us. Contour drawing is a drawing approach that focuses on the detailed analysis of edges. There are different types of contour drawings: continuous line, broken line, and cross-contour line. Different approaches to contour drawing include contour drawings made while not looking at a subject, traditionally called blind contour drawings; contour drawings executed on top of a gesture drawing, where you might be using contour to enhance the edges of an established form; and quick or sustained contour drawing, where the speed of the observation and replication of a subject can alter the visual outcome of a drawing. Contour drawing itself, more likely than not, feels like a very natural way to draw. You generally hold the pencil in a precision grip and use line to describe what you see. Here you can see me drawing a piggy bank. The film is sped up, but it can be observed that my tool never leaves the page, so this drawing would be described as a continuous line contour drawing. Though we do not visually see linear outlines around forms in the natural world, we do distinguish differences between edges based on value, color, texture, and space that line can help to describe. In my design classes, we speak about the principles of Gestalt theory: similarity, proximity, figure ground, closure, continuation, and anomaly. The Gestalt theories are based on studies into the different ways that the human eye organizes visual information. Many, including myself, believe that this is an evolutionary trait, and much of what we think about the origins of human art is related to the evolution of our species and its development of culture. An axe in the British Museum shows an important tool for early humankind that helped to begin the migration of our species from Africa to the different reaches of our planet. It also shows evidence of unnecessary design qualities. It appears to be art, to be an object of value and of decoration. Was this axe made for someone who had status and power, or did they gain status and power because they made this axe? It's easy to question why this axe could be considered art. To make things more confusing, in a contemporary context, not only the axe itself, but simply the idea of the axe could be considered art. Our consideration of the idea of the axe as art is related to the developments in postmodern art movements like conceptual art. Conceptual artworks are works of art that generally have no art object related to them, just simply titles, concepts, and perhaps diagrams and lists. This movement confuses our idea of what art is because it eliminates any necessary traditional art object and simply asks us to question what the ultimate nature of art can be. In contemporary art, we have the opportunity, and I believe it is important to think of contemporary art as an opportunity, to disassociate ourselves with tradition and the power structures such traditions represent. However, as you will discover, since this is a foundations course, my goal is first to give you the tools through which you can engage with these traditions so that, when you are ready, you might decide to reject them. In my own work, I use traditional drawing approaches, like contour line drawing, to engage with contemporary ideas. You do not need to throw out traditional approaches in order to create something new, but the ultimate goal should be to add to the conversation that has developed in contemporary drawing, rather than to abandon it for traditions that feel safer and more acceptable. So I wonder, if the axe and not only the axe, but the idea of the axe can be art, then within that discussion, what might a drawing be? Must a drawing be a certain thing? Is a drawing something that replicates life, or discusses a mark alone? Could a diagram not be considered a drawing? What about writing? Is writing drawing? What does any of this have to do with contour drawing? And what does this have to do with the evolution of different ways of seeing? Finger flutes, made predominantly by a 5-year-old female, are amongst some of the oldest forms of drawing that we have discovered. The subject matter could simply be described in a contemporary language as material-based, the material difference created by the fluting and the surface around it. Imagine the fun that this young girl had, pushing the soft surface of the ceiling around to create indentations and marks with her finger that appeared magically different from the surfaces around them. The differences are visible to us because of tactile and visual indicators, but I would suppose to a young mind these were not really the considerations that were taking place. More likely than not, it was something related to the pleasure of making the fluting rather than considering relationships and tactile responses. To me, the idea of pleasure in the act of making is as equally important as any scientific analysis of the visual goal. Have you had a similar experience to this ancient artist? I believe we all have. The experience seems universal. When Jane Goodall, one of my heroines, proved that chimpanzees use tools to fish for ants, the parameters for what separated humans from other animals had to be re-evaluated. This led ultimately to a new definition of the word human, since the identification of toolmaker had to be removed. Today this idea is widely accepted. Recently it was shown that ravens use tools, for instance. But it was shocking to many scientists at the time when Goodall first showed her findings. Today, part of the definition of what a human is related to the art we make, but this definition also is going to be challenged more and more in the coming years. Our biggest platform for observing this growing challenge is found easily on popular social network sites like YouTube. When I first saw the video of Suda the elephant drawing a self-portrait, I was amazed at the way that contour line drawing was being employed. I saw in the drawing and the drawing approach techniques I have used in my work and with my students to examine and explore the edges of objects. A contour drawing in its most basic form is an outline. Suda's self-portrait is recognizable to us because of the manner in which the line helps her eye differentiate between the figure and the ground. The positive form or figure is separated from the negative form or ground because of the boundary created by the line. When we look at the drawing made by Suda and compare it with a cave drawing made by an early human, we see similarities in approach. This is not an attempt to compare the intellectual abilities of either species, but rather to assess the manner in which lines, created by tools, depositing materials on a surface, can describe forms through analysis of edges. A piece of charcoal on a cave wall, a brush and paint on a piece of paper. Suda's self-portraits show more evidence of being a drawing than a painting to me because of how the materials are being employed. In the discussion of what a drawing is, it is not unusual to include works made with watercolor, gouache, or other translucent wet media. This can sometimes be confusing for artists, writers, curators, and historians, so it is okay if this doesn't quite make sense to you at this time. What should be making sense though is how the type of line Suda is using is related to the examples of contour drawing we have already seen in this video. Over the years, I have used contour drawing in a variety of lessons and taught the technique at different times throughout my courses. Contour is a vital part of understanding how to draw what we see, but it can also be difficult to use correctly if attention to detail and patience is not properly employed. In these student examples, we can see a variety of contour approaches being utilized. Can you recognize which drawings are made with which contour technique? We are going to begin by making a continuous contour line drawing of an object you select. Pick an object that has interesting edges and something which you can focus on for the length of the drawing. With the continuous contour line drawing, you must keep your tool on the page at all times. Telltale signs that you've picked up your tool are apparent to viewers because of changes in the line thicknesses that occur when you restart a line. A continuous contour line drawing can have a short or long time limit. For this first drawing, we will draw for 5 to 7 minutes. You can use a variety of materials to create a contour drawing. We will be beginning with a pencil. In this case, I have selected a 2B pencil. It is important to start with a sharp pencil point. The more dull the pencil, the wider the line, and you will need to push quite hard to work with the dull tip. A sharp pencil, though, will create a thinner and lighter line, which you can build up when you feel confident in your line, or, in the case of a mistake, ignore, because it will be less prominent than the lines you create as you correct the drawing. My drawing is perhaps a little dark, because I want to make sure that it's visible in the video. You will also see it is slightly askew because of how I had to set up the camera. My drawing surface is vertical, which is important, and my object is located off to the side, but still in my line of sight. I am right-handed, so my object is located on my left. This allows me to draw and look at my object without having to look over my shoulder or arm. I have kept the footage in real time, so you can see how much information can be captured in 5 minutes. I began my drawing from a single point and have been working out from that point along the contours that I can see. When I make a mistake, I leave it and simply correct the drawing by adjusting my line. In Italian Renaissance drawings, the underdrawing, or pedamente, is considered to be part of the drawing approach that makes the drawings beautiful. We tend to think that every drawing must be perfect, but I would rather have a drawing that is right than one that is pretty. Contour drawings can be quirky and personal. There is no need to exaggerate your drawings though. The technique will do that for you. Just try and make your drawing as accurate as you can. Follow the contours and pay close attention to where they meet and line up. Try and capture enough information in your time limit to enable your viewer to read what your object is, but don't worry if you don't finish every part of the drawing. To help you focus, I suggest that you create an art space that is your own. Let your roommates, siblings, spouses, and children know that this is the place where you are going to dedicate just to drawing. When you enter that space, turn off your social media and phones, and connect with your work. Suda was taught for 5 weeks before being selected for further art training. The elephants who have been taught have the possibility of living for 50+ years. Imagine how much they will be able to do in their works over their lifetime. Not every elephant goes on to be given training in art. This is because they are each individuals with their own ways of seeing, which is a characteristic Jane Goodall observed in the chimpanzee troops she lived with for decades. We know that we are all individuals also, and that we will each approach a problem with a variety of solutions. A foundations-level drawing course enables us to begin the journey of discovering how we see and what that means to us. You will be taught a number of problem-solving techniques that will enable you to engage with drawing and the world around you. In this video, I included a lot of information that perhaps you think is interesting, but are not quite certain yet what it all means to you as a student in this course. What I wanted to convey to you is this idea that learning to draw requires you to think about drawing from new points of view and with a holistic mindset to the interrelatedness of experience. Sometimes it seems that I work with students who are hoping to be master artists after just 11 weeks of drawing. Learning to draw takes effort and it takes determination. We are living in a time where we have over 32 million years of art to learn from, mixed in with contemporary ideas of what art is, and on top of it, imagery that we are inundated with that is polished and manipulated in ways that alter our sense of reality. Foundational drawing, though, is all about reality. It is about learning to draw technically, and this creates a structure upon which you can later grow and develop your own language and style. We are beginning with contour drawing because it is a process that requires us to slow down and to observe that which we often barely see. When you have completed your drawing, spend a moment to consider if there are elements of your object that you did not previously recognize that you managed to capture in your drawing. If you missed something in your drawing, ask yourself why you omitted it. Consider the decisions that you made and use the information that is revealed to you to analyze your process. Use the lessons that you learn on your next drawing to help advance your drawing abilities.